Good morning, everyone. As Rainer says, it's always very nice to see a lot of faces when we talk about compliance and the things that people don't often love. But definitely around us seeing you today in our message, I hope that you leave the day with some value, and that you really feel that you can take something back to your business, not just around what you hear today, but overall in terms of what Masthead does for you and really what we try to bring into the market and specifically into your businesses. So as Rainer said, today I'm going to talk around risk returns and how do we balance that with commercial benefits in this world, specifically conduct risk, which is definitely a bit of a thematic topic at this point in time. So I think around the agenda, I'm quickly going to cover some COFI topics with you, take you through the bill. I want to talk about the Omni CBR or the Omni risk return. Pick up here. Then I quickly want to give you some information that will make this a little bit practical. I think when we talk about data and conduct risk return, it's easy to turn a blind eye on your face and say, this is not me. This is not my business, and it absolutely is. Then I want to talk around the maturity journey. So from silos to synergy. And what does data mean in your business? Conduct risk data. Then quickly, commercial benefits and the return on investment. And why we're saying, although a lot of this is compliance, it's not crazy for your business. There are things in here that will help you move forward. And then quickly, some small steps and a big impact in your business. So I think today marks another step forward in our journey around the COFI bill and this transformation of the industry. And really what it's asking us to do is to step away from this tick box environment and reshape and rethink about how we think about efficiency, how we think about fairness, how we think about TCF outcomes in the market. I think to a large extent, COFI bill and Omni CBR is definitely not a tick box exercise. It's a call on all of you to embed good business as good conduct and good conduct as good business. So as I've said, it's really not about tech. It's not about having technology and all of these fancy things. It's about having processes and procedures in your business that work, things that actually serve your business and drive you forward. I think to a large extent, if you don't have these types of information in your business, how are you going to report? How are you going to evidence in your business that good data is good business and good conduct is good data, and that the data is effectively the bridge between those two? So can I ask you in your business, are you COFI ready? Do you understand the processes and the procedures that you need to have in your business to report on those? I think more importantly, are you going to be ready then to evidence that how you are conducting your business is a good conduct approach to business in general? So I think that then sets the scene for us to quickly unpack COFI. And I don't know if quickly and COFI go together, but definitely in terms of the COFI concept, we're finding that the status for a long time was in market pause. We were hurrying, wait. Now in the last while, we've seen in the FSCA regulatory strategy that it's passed through the legal advisor's office. There were some comments on the bill, and effectively they're intending to table it before Parliament before the end of this year, 2025. So that then means we'll go into a transitional period after that, and then obviously move into an omni conduct-based risk environment. So if you look at the structure of the COFI bill, it effectively consists of a couple of chapters, 12 in totality. The first of those, very similar to what we deal with now. It's licensing, it's authorization, it's scope, it's application. Then they deal in chapter 3 with appointment of representatives and debarments and all of the do's and the don'ts around structuring a business. Then as we go into chapters 4 to 7, we typically see what you're seeing here on the screen. Now we're seeing TCF in play. So we're specifically talking about culture, TCF1, how you govern your business, conflict of interest, remuneration. Then we're talking about the types of products and services that you deliver and how does that work, TCF 4, 5, and 2. We also talk about advertising and disclosure, TCF 3. So you can see that in the COFI bill, it's not just about tick box the rules. It's really about taking the rules and bringing some conduct standards into your business. And that is what the COFI bill wants to do. It wants to give you practical measures to really embed COFI in your business, but also make it evidenceable and make it consistent across the entire industry. So in terms of the Masthead job and what do we do? A large job of us is obviously scanning the environment, keeping an eye on the regulatory scope and pace, but we also sit and represent you on specific boards within the regulatory space. In particular, the Market Conduct Committee with the FSCA is something where Masthead is a representative. We then have the good fortune of sitting with the regulators and talking through a lot of regulatory change and upcoming changes in the industry. We then also have the opportunity to provide comments, to provide input. And this is where it's our voice, our guidance in terms of how this impacts the small business, how this translates into your practice. That's not a large organization, but that has some real practical challenges. Importantly for us to address those challenges in those environments and raise your voice and say that this is a challenge for a small business and how can we do this differently, better. A subset of that is also the COFI World working group, which I'm sure that you would have read about in some of the industry updates. We are also representative on those working groups. So that means that we're actively involved in shaping the frameworks under the COFI World. Those frameworks then go into sub-work groups with very specific thematic frameworks. So again, if I use fit and proper as an example, we have fit and proper now. In the COFI World, there will be fit and proper. The COFI World at a high level doesn't give a lot of detail. So what will happen is there will be a conduct standard under that fit and proper requirement. And it will then say, have a qualification, have experience, etc. So this is where myself and a couple of our individuals, Raina being one of them, sit in those work groups and we're looking at the legislation and we're adding comments, we're giving input as it is being shaped. And that again is specifically with you and your business in mind. So I think one of the main concerns with COFI is relicensing. Are we going to have to do a license again? I know it's not the answer you want to hear, but it is yes. We are going to have to relicense at some point. But I do want to also assure you we've been here before. It's happened before that the industry needed to change pace and shift. We are going to make sure that you go through that process without an issue. To a large extent, you are licensed now. You're a type of institution. In a COFI Bill, you're going to still be a type of institution, but it wants to know what activities you execute in your business. Do you distribute a product? Do you provide a product? Do you provide certain credit services? So it's very specific, not to who you are, but to what you do. And that is how your license will pack out. So again, in a lot of our early preparation, we're saying to our clients, understand your business. What do you do in your business? What type of data do you have here? What are your activities? And that is our early preparation, our conversations with you, so that when we get there, we've got a clear view and we can move forward. So then if COFI is our playbook for the next period of this compliance journey, how do we report? So this is then when Omni CBR enters, or now Omni Risk Return enters the playing field. So the Omni CBR, I think initially in that format entered our lives in 2022. We then at that point as compliance officers had the joy of testing it extensively on behalf of every type of practice we had. Short-term, long-term, Cat 1, Cat, whatever you had, we tested it. And we provided extensive comments into the regulator, specifically around it's a lot, there's duplication. How will a small business do that? So already there at that stage, again, we were involved giving on behalf of your small business saying, this is what we need to do. This is how you want the rest of the industry to participate. Help us get there. So effectively in 2025, post those comments, we expected some updates from 2022 to now. In 2025, we saw an update to say, okay, it's no longer the CBR, conduct of business risk return. It is now going to be risk returns. And if we look through the information, it really is very similar, but they've taken a very large set of data and they're going to break it down into very thematic risk returns. So same, still data, still harmonization. It's still all of these types of industries coming together because we still want consolidation of what is happening around the market. I think critically for us and for your business is how do we make sure that this type of reporting isn't just reporting? How do we make sure that there are opportunities for you in this business data? And that's really what I want to today also just make practical and share with you is that compliance data, yes, that is what it is, but we need to repurpose the information to your benefit and take opportunity. I want to quickly stop here. So when I say data, in general, our minds float away. I'm not a big business. I don't have data. you absolutely have data on your business. So this is a claims register that we've recently also, in view of all of these changes in the industry, rolled out. And you can see it's not just a record. It's not supposed to just be a record. It can just be a log in your business of activities and issues and complaints. But it really becomes a detail of root cause analysis. It becomes an understanding of problems in your business about where SLAs weren't met, where clients weren't paid out. So it's compliance data, absolutely, but it drives significant business insights into your business if you allow it. When I take a practical example that I actually spoke to one of our practice management consultants about in the week, they use this exact same register, small business, one man, and he's got 3 supervised representatives, and they implemented this register. The key individual in sitting and talking around the data then said, I want more. I want you to add 1 or 2 criteria. Specifically, SLAs and turnaround times were added in there. They then reworked that data, and in the last 12 months, they've had 21 upsell opportunities that actively came from just this one register. So when we say data in your business, please don't think it's not you. It's all of the data. It's all of the information that you have. So again, it's not about tech. It's about having processes that are clear and thought out, effective. It's about following those procedures in your business, and then ultimately taking that data and continuing on this data maturity journey. Because that, to a large extent, again, if you think about the COFI World and Omni, it's one thing as to go on this maturity of data, where your data is telling about your conduct and it's telling how you run your business. So can I ask you then, where are you on your data maturity journey? Is your claim register just a log, or is it something that you're really looking at? Are you trying to understand the information in there? More importantly, again, use it to your benefit. So when we talk data or data maturity, there are a couple of phases in there. The lower level would be awareness, where we're really seeing data as a short-term operational expense. It takes time, it takes money to collect it, to have it, to run a system, to have Excel. It doesn't then become a driver of value. We're stuck in siloed systems. We're split between functions. We're not considering that there's a long-term benefit to the information and generating insights from that information. Then from there on, if you can move through data awareness, and maybe here also to mention, in Q1, you would have seen that we took a very specific approach to complaints. We did a bit of tick box, the normal compliance rules. Then we overlaid it with some process data. We asked you, are you following your process? Did you write this down? What did you learn? What did you see in your business? If I look at the results of Q1, majority of our clients are still stuck on data awareness. We're not moved and progressed into the next phase. The next phase is this storage and collection phase. So this is really where we're laying the foundation, like the claims register. Amazing template. If you're not populating it correctly, it doesn't tell us anything. So really this foundation of storing data, having it in a central place, having it available for you to use. After that, we move into an integration and a quality phase. So having the data is one, all of the data in one place is one. Now we want to integrate. We want to start connecting the dots in the business. This is also where this COFI reporting back efficiency, how is my business doing, and client outcomes aspect comes into play. Now data quality managed. We don't want to tell the regulator or give the regulator incorrect or inaccurate information. So this is really, again, a shift that we want to make, and that we want to move from compliance only to client value. It's not just data, but it tells us something about the business. After that, we're going to move into a data analysis and a kind of a reporting aspect. And this is really where data now starts to drive aspects in your business. It's very interesting if you look at some of the studies by Deloitte, McKinsey, etc. Specifically in a Deloitte study around using your data as assets, a 2022 study. They talk about the data flywheel effect. And this amazing thing that happens when you collect data, you get insight. And then you collect more data and you collect more insight. So it's this ongoing process of improvement. And that ultimately is the focus that we want to give you, is to say, yes, it's compliance data, but repurpose that into something that adds value in your benefit, in your business. Ultimately, and this is the pinnacle of where we want to land at data decision making. So this is then where my data makes me more agile, makes me more flexible, because I can predict what's coming. I can see what's coming around the corner. I make better decisions. I've got better understanding of my risk, but better understanding of my opportunities. And that's, again, it's not the focus on the other side. It's the focus on what can you see from your data and where will that take your business in the next phase. So in terms of the commercial benefits, again, strategy for data is either going to enable what you're doing and you're going to pull those benefits and that commercial advantage. In these Deloitte studies, again, there's quite a bit around entry of new markets. The guys who have data awareness, 81, 89% more into new markets. The guys who use data and risk information, 84% more opportunity insight. So there's a business case for saying your data is not just data. It's absolutely a driver of value. You can see on the screen, cross-selling opportunities. The guys who use their data outperform their peers on every metric of cross-selling and upselling. Innovation, differentiation. So it's all of these tangible wins in the business that, yes, it's compliance data, but it's time for us to reshape and repurpose how we look at compliance data and really look for those insights under the cover of what we see there. So if we look at some of this information, and if we look definitely at the business case studies, which I promise you are not compliance studies, it's real business studies, it looks like the future belongs to those who use their data to innovate and to understand their clients. So are we using data to report only, or is it to understand my client better? Am I using my data to just prove compliance, or am I identifying my opportunities? Because that distinction is critical. It's going to set your regulatory posture, but it's also going to determine how you grow and lead and innovate in the next while. So take that viewpoint of your data. And then I think in terms of just closing off, we return to where we started, is that good conduct is good business, and data is the bridge between the two. So you don't need big data to play a big data game. I've showed you the claims register. Think about every process in your business. There are insights in there that you need to uncover, spend time on the process and the discipline of getting it right, and then looking at your data. So in terms of this big data game, you need to have smart data. You need to have clear goals. You need to have a culture that doesn't see compliance as an inhibitor, but as a bridge to growth. That the same data, like I said, can be repurposed to really drive your business forward. So in a COFI and in an Omni CBR world, your data is going to tell your conduct story. So make sure that it's a story of fairness and of foresight and of financial growth. Importantly, that if you align smart compliance with commercial aspects and with your conduct aspects, the business will be more agile. You will be more profitable. You will be more flexible. Those aren't compliance concepts, it's business concepts. So there's a value in just seeing it like that. So then in terms of today, I thought I would leave you with a couple of questions to make it something that you can take home with you. So what is one process in your business that you need to improve on this quarter? What is one client insight that you wish you had now in real time? What is the differentiating factor in your data that you're not using? Importantly, what is the opportunity that you're missing in your business? Try in the next quarter just to answer those 4 questions on one concept. I promise you, you'll see, like with the claims register, there's value to not compliance data, business data, good conduct data in your business. So at the end, like I said, good conduct is good business, and data is the bridge between the two. But it's really not just about compliance. It is about clarity. It's about your competitive advantage and really ultimately driving your business forward in this next phase. Thank you.